Hey everybody, it's Alex, the founder and CEO of Motoroso, and in this video we're going to be covering all the available aftermarket suspension upgrade options for the brand new 2021 and up Ford Bronco. We just went to SEMA and there were over 50 Bronco builds from mild to wild, and we boiled it all down. So whether you're just looking to fit larger tires, you're doing an overlanding build, or you're looking for some serious hardcore off-road performance, we're going to cover it all right here. Now there's a lot to go through, so we're not going to be able to go into incredibly deep detail about every single product like we normally do, but we will put links to the products on our website where you can learn more and of course shop and buy these products. And of course, if you need more help, don't hesitate to reach out to us on live chat or call us toll free. Now make sure you subscribe to our channel as well, because we're getting our Bronco in 1 to 2 weeks, and we'll be doing product review videos and detailed step-by-step how-to installation guides on everything we do on our Bronco. Now let's dive in. In this section, we're just going to talk about the most cost-effective and simple solutions to fitting bigger wheels and tires. If you're looking for an actual increase in suspension performance, skip to the next chapter entirely. Here we're going to talk about strut spacers and leveling kits. These are body lift kits that just put a little bit of space between your existing shocks and the body, giving you more room to fit those bigger wheels and tires. So this is not intended for that aggressive off-roading, because if you go hard, you are going to reach the limits of those stock shocks, which although they're good, they're not really made for that hardcore off-roading. Also, you do run the risk of damaging the upper control arms, and we're going to talk about when you need to get replacement upper control arms, depending on how high you go in the lift. And in general, the gains are going to come in anywhere between 1 and 2 inches of level or body lift. You can fit up to a 315/70/17 tire, which is an effective outer diameter of 34.4 inches. So almost a 35, and you can fit that without any sort of trimming. If you're willing to do a little bit of trimming of the plastic inside the wheel well, pretty simple to do, you can fit a 35-inch tire with just 1 to 2 inches on a Sasquatch model. Now, if you go 3 to 4 inches of body lift, you can easily fit that 35 and up to a 37 on the Sasquatch models. And if you're willing to do a little bit of that trimming, you can fit a 37 on the non-Sasquatch models if you go 3 to 4 inches of body lift. If you do that though, you will need a replacement upper control arm, because that stock upper control arm cannot handle that. The folks over at Rough Country have introduced a 1-inch kit that is only $59, and that's just going to level the front. And then they have a 2-inch lift kit, which is front and rear, 2 inches in the front, 1 inch in the rear, and that's going to set you back around $149. Now they've also created a 3.5-inch kit of body lift kit, and that includes the strut spacers that you need front and rear, as well as their tubular upper control arms, and that kit is $599, one of the most effective ways to get 3.5 inches of lift. Zone Off-Road is offering 2 very simple kits, a 1-inch leveling kit for $59 and a 2-inch in the front, 1 inch in the rear body lift kit for $112. Zone Off-Road is also offering 2 kits that they say will allow you to fit 37s, and they make them for the Sasquatch and non-Sasquatch models separately. For the Sasquatch model, they have a 3-inch adventure kit, and that is 3 inches in the front, 2 inches in the rear, and that's going to cost $606, and it does include an interesting looking cast box style upper control arm. Now they also offer for the non-Squatch models a 4-inch in the front, 3-inch in the rear that also includes that box style upper control arm, and that'll set you back $669. Our friends over at SKYJACKER came to the table with a pretty simple offering for now. They make individual kits for the non-Sasquatch and the Sasquatch models. Both raise the truck 2 inches, and that allows them to add 2 inches in tire size depending on where you're at. So very simple math there, and bound to be relatively inexpensive. We're guessing under $200 for those. 4 Wheel Parts has a nice billet kit that they call a level lift, which is a 2-inch kit front and rear, but it of course also includes this 1/2-inch spacer that lets you add an extra 1/2 inch in the front for 2.5 inches total. The idea there is that if you put a heavy front bumper and a winch on, you need that extra spacer to let it sag into the suspension to keep you at that 2-inch height. Now they are charging $399 for this, which is a fairly expensive strut spacer kit, but I do know a lot of people who would pay quite a lot extra for another 1/2 inch. The folks over at READYLIFT think that 1.25 inches is as high as they recommend going without affecting the steering geometry and the upper control arm. So for $160, they have a simple billet kit that lifts the truck 1.25 inches. Now they also offer a 2-inch kit, which is strut spacers front and rear, but it also includes an upper control arm that is tubular, made out of DOM steel, and that is going to run you about $900. And lastly, the folks over at SUPERLIFT have come to market with 3 kits right out of the gate. Now they have a 2-inch strut spacer lift that we have no idea what the price on on that's going to be, but I would expect it to be under $200, probably closer to $150. And they have a 3.5-inch kit. Now this 3.5-inch kit includes all the strut spacers needed and tubular upper control arms. I would expect that one to be somewhere between $600 and $800. And SUPERLIFT swung for the fences with a 6-inch body lift. Now this includes a dropped cross member, a replacement knuckle, massive strut spacers, replacement trailing arms, and track bar. And all of that allows you to install all of that and maintain and retain the original upper control arm because the drop cross member accommodates for that. Now, this kit is gonna probably set you back somewhere between $1,500 and maybe upwards of $2,000. The pricing is not official, but again, this is not a suspension improvement. You're not gonna get additional wheel travel. You're just raising this vehicle way up, and that's gonna allow you to easily fit 37s. And if you're looking to fit 40s, this is the only body lift kit that's really gonna enable that. You're gonna need to trim and do fender deletes, but you could probably fit a 40-inch tire. In this section, we're going to talk about the turnkey lift kits that include everything you need to lift your Bronco. That means it includes upper control arms, shocks, the whole 9 yards. And this is where you're actually going to be improving the dampers and the suspension to get better off-road performance. I'm going to start off on the lower end of the price point, and that first kit is going to be for non-Sasquatch models only, and it's going to come from a brand called RANCHO. Now, RANCHO offers the RS9000XL kit, which is a shock swap. That means you keep your factory top hat and spring, swap it over to the shocks, and bolt it all up. It means it takes a little bit longer to install, but you're going to save a lot of money. And that RS9000 shock does offer 9 clicks of damping adjustment, so you're actually going to be able to control how the vehicle feels to a small degree. This kit includes tubular upper control arms and is only going to cost $1,200, which is a great deal for a 3-inch suspension lift kit. Stepping into the more high performance options, you're going to want to check out the FABTECH Dirt Logic 2.5 Resi kit. Now this includes those Dirt Logic remote reservoir shocks, which hold more fluid volume and have better damping over time, because as that shock cycles, it can get very, very hot, and you don't want that to run out and burn the shock out or stop performing altogether, especially on those long sessions. Now this also includes a tubular upper control arm that has their high angle 1-inch uniball joint that's going to stand up to the punishment and give you this. It also includes their tubular trailing arms to help adjust for the 3 inches of lift and keep that rear axle exactly where you want it. Now this kit's going to retail almost $5,400, but the lower end of the pricing is going to be $4,600. You can check out a link to that in the description. BDS Suspensions has introduced a 3 to 4 inch lift kit that will grant 3 to 4 inches depending on which trim level you have, and it includes their tubular upper control arms as well as the Fox 2.5 DSC shocks. Now these are arguably some of the best off-road performance shocks that you can get. These things are badass, and I'm going to talk about them more when I talk about coilovers specifically, because they are available on their own for $4,800. This kit's going to set you back around $5,900. Our friends over at BELLTECH have also come to the table with a big lift kit. Now this kit will allow you to adjust between 7 and 7.5 inches of lift. It includes a dropped cross member, a replacement knuckle that keeps all the steering in the OE specs and keeps the same track as stock. It also includes a replacement rear heavy-duty track bar and includes BELLTECH's new Trail Performance coilover shocks. Now these are not a remote reservoir shock, they're also non-adjustable, but they are going to be a high-performance coilover that's going to be a dramatic improvement over stock performance. Now we don't know exactly how much this kit is going to cost. The fact that it doesn't require replacement upper control arms, it may mean that this kit could somewhere around the $4,000 price point, but again, we don't know. It will allow you to fit easily 37s, 40s probably pretty easily as well, and we did see one booth had 42s, but they admitted there was some pretty serious rubbing and they couldn't trim anymore. And last up in fully packaged lift kits, let's talk about our friends over at Icon Vehicle Dynamics. Now these guys put their Stage 4 suspension on our F-150, and that kit has been absolutely incredible. They offer a wide range of huge suspension upgrades for many, many different applications. They put a ton of effort into developing their suspension kits. And for the Bronco, there has been no exception. They will be offering everything from a simple strut spacer leveling kit all the way on up to their Stage 3, 4, and 5 kits. But what they debuted here at SEMA was their new CDEV system, and this thing was the biggest, baddest thing at SEMA, and it won an award for the best new product at the show. Now, like any lift kit you would expect, this thing is going to give you about 3 inches of lift on the Bronco, and it includes their new billet machined upper control arm, which includes their new, even larger Delta Joint Pro. This is a 1.5 inch uniball joint that is maintenance free, has a dust cap. This thing is a bolt-on and run it hard and never have to really worry about it. Now, they also feature billet trailing arms in this kit. and it includes their CDEV shocks, which are new for this year and are really intense in the technology that they bring to the table. The rear coilover features a triple spring rate and gives 14 inches of travel. CDEV stands for Compression Damping Electronic Valve, and that's right, they have developed an onboard computer that connects to the shocks and will adjust the damping in real time in reaction to the trail and or the street. Now this allows you to use this beautiful interface that they've developed for the iPhone to set your exact settings that you want for the suspension independently, front and rear, at 10 different levels. That means you can set it up to be as compliant and smooth as you want it on the trail, or as stable and firm as you'd like it on the street, or vice versa. Now this is a jump step in technology for off-road suspension and usability without having to get out and turn clickers on a shock, which is what, of course, anybody with adjustable suspension has been used to doing for a very long time. Now, this is going to cost a pretty penny. They don't have official pricing yet, but it sounds like this could get upwards of $10,000. But this is a show winner at SEMA. Incredibly impressive technology from Icon Vehicle Dynamics, and we can't wait to learn more about what they've brought to the table here. Now, moving away from full kits that include everything that you want, let's talk about independent components that can be purchased and put together. This is, of course, something we can help you with in deciding what you need, and it allows you a little bit more flexibility over what you're going to use, and in some cases get better performance at a lower price. Now, there's two different types of shocks and coilovers that we're going to talk about. There's the non-bypass shocks, which is a standard shock, and then the bypass shocks. And bypass just means that inside or outside the shock, they have some way of passing the oil more rapidly, and that's just better for high-speed flow of oil on off-road applications, and generally considered to be the more serious off-road performance solutions. So let's start with the non-bypass shocks. In one of the builds, we spotted what we believe to be an Eibach Pro Truck coilover system. We don't know anything about this. There was no pricing and there's no official announcement from Eibach yet, so we don't have much more for you other than that, but we do know that the Pro Truck coilover systems are usually a pretty good value for a bolt-in lift and off-road performance. Ford WP Factory has come to market with a bunch of new products for the Bronco, including these new 2.5 VSRT shocks. Now, these are a simple coilover, but they're an aluminum body, stainless steel shaft. They're made for WP by Walker Evans Racing, which is a specialist suspension manufacturer. So these are a good product, and they're only going to set you back $2,800 for that full kit all the way around. Now, this is not going to be your remote reservoir ultra high performance off-road shock, but this is going to handle the vast majority of most people's needs at a good price, and it's going to give you about 3 inches of lift. Old Man Emo has always made great shock swaps for off-road applications, and they're really focused on that overlanding market. They offer their shocks in normal load, medium load, heavy load, depending on do you have bumpers, winches, how much you're gonna put in the vehicle on your racks and your cargo area. And so they give you a lot of flexibility, and it's a simple shock swap. It means you take your stock spring and stock top hat, swap it over to the shock and install it, and you're gonna get 3 inches of lift. Now, this is definitely going to need to be paired with a different aftermarket upper control arm, and there's plenty to choose from. We'll talk about that in the next chapter. But for that kit, you're going to spend around $600 to $800. The pricing wasn't final here at SEMA, but that is pretty good value for an upgraded shock. Now, a similar offering is going to come from Bilstein. They're offering their 6112 shocks, which are going to set you back under $1,000 for the full set of 4. And again, you're going to swap over your stock spring and top hat and get about 3 inches of lift, and you need to combine it with a different aftermarket upper control arm. Next up, we're going to talk about those much more serious bypass shocks for that aggressive off-road performance. Now, bypass shocks have ways of controlling the oil flow to make sure that it can flow faster through the shock, not having to go through the standard valves. Now, this means that it usually ends up holding more fluid as well, and that means it can stand up to longer, harsher, more punishing off-road conditions. These shocks also generally have more damping controls, allowing you to really control the performance off-road. The first product we're going to feature is the King, and that is King. King Racing Shocks is simply known for being some of the best off-road suspension in the world. They win everything they enter, and they are really a kick-ass product, and it's amazing that they trickle this technology down to the general consumer to enjoy on their Bronco. And now these are going to set you back around $4,200 for the set, front and rear, but it's a machined aluminum shock body, stainless steel shaft, includes a shaft protector to make sure that the shock does not get damaged while you're out there really using it. It has a remote reservoir and tons of fluid to help manage and control the heat that can be generated from this off-road performance. It also includes 20 clicks of compression damping adjustment, so you can tune exactly the way the shock responds to the trail. And the rear shock in this setup features a double spring setup. It's also a fully rebuildable shock, and you can get it custom valved if you send it in to King to tell them exactly how you're using this product. This is serious off-road performance for your Bronco, and it's a no-brainer application. That's why we saw it on so many builds at this year's SEMA. These shocks are also available in a non-adjustable version for about $600 less, but frankly, why you would pay $600 less and have less control over your shocks, I can't imagine doing that. Next up on the list of hardcore bypass off-road shocks is the Fox 2.5 DSC coilovers. Now that stands for dual speed compression adjustment. So in this case, instead of 20 clicks of compression damping period, you get actual high speed compression damping and low speed compression damping. This is really convenient for tuning exactly the way the shock is going to respond to the different kinds of inputs like rolling hills or really high speed impacts like sharp rocks and curbs. Now this shock has a machined aluminum body, stainless steel shaft, remote reservoir, all the features you would expect from top quality product, and the full set front and rear for your Bronco is going to set you back about $4,800. And like the Kings, and as you would expect from any high-end shock company, these are fully rebuildable if you need them, and you can send them into Fox and have them custom valved for your specific application. Now, when you're shopping for these, make sure you get the right part numbers because there are separate part numbers for Sasquatch and non-Sasquatch and 2-door and 4-door. Of course, these absolutely must be paired with a set of upper control arms because they're going to yield a 3-inch ride height increase. Old Man Emo has decided to enter the bypass coilover game with their BP51s. Now, these are not out yet. They're coming in mid-2022 for the Bronco, but I'm excited about these. They've trickled down technology like compression damping adjustment and rebound damping adjustment in the same shock, and that's nice. I don't know why aftermarket shocks are so slow to introduce all these controls, but Old Man Emu is doing it, and they're gonna do it at a great price point. The word on the street, these will be under $4,000 for a full set. We're gonna be keeping a close eye on these and maybe even putting them on our own Bronco. They feature a machined aluminum body and a stainless steel shock like the highest end shocks you can imagine, plus a shaft protector plastic shield. So if you didn't opt for a lift kit that includes them and you're going with a shock purchase independently, you're gonna need to get an upper control arm to make sure that the upper control arm doesn't fail when you're out on the trail and can accommodate this additional ride height. Now, upper control arms are gonna come in either a fabricated tubular style, which are generally gonna be made out of steel, almost always, or the CNC machined billet aluminum, which are stronger and lighter, but of course do cost quite a bit more. So first we're gonna talk about tubular UCAs. The first tubular upper control arm we're going to talk about is going to come from the brand that we think is probably the best value, and that is Evo Manufacturing. Now this is a DOM steel, very good material for suspension products like this, and it features a stainless steel Teflon lined high angle uniball that's going to stand up to the punishment and move and operate very smoothly while staying clean and being very maintenance free. Now it also features frame pivots that are bonded ductile rubber that are going to be no maintenance, no grease, and are going to last a lifetime, and they have very high vibration damping properties. Evo is the only company that's using this type of bushing at the frame, and we think that makes them very unique in that respect. Now these are available in black, and they're only going to set you back around $800, which is a great price point for a very, very high caliber of product, and this is probably what we're going to use on our Bronco. Ford WP Factory is also offering their tubular upper control arm with a 1-inch uniball, and it's set you back around $800 as well. Camberg's upper control arm is made out of 4130 chromoly steel, and it features a 1.25-inch high-angle PTFE lined uniball, which is bigger than some of the other offerings out there. It's also powder-coated in steel gray if you like that color, and it's available for about $849. And all these options we just talked about support between 1 and 4 inches of lift. Now in the world of machined billet aluminum upper control arms, let's start with the Baja kits. Now this features a trophy truck grade 1-inch uniball, CNC machined aluminum construction with a CNC cap that got a dust seal on it to keep that uniball clean and maintenance free. Now this thing is extremely strong. It's gonna set you back around $1,500, and it's beautiful and it's anodized black. We're also going to be keeping our eye on what Baja kits come out with in the future, because they're going to be introducing a boxed lower control arm as well, which will save weight and be stronger. And they're also going to be coming out with a full pre-runner conversion kit, which will add 3 inches of width to each side of the vehicle, a ton more wheel travel, and that's going to be serious for people building some Baja rigs. The folks over at Camberg also offer their billet aluminum upper control arm for the same price, around $1,500. It is anodized in gray, and it features their 1.25-inch uniball with a PTFE liner. Now we also spotted a set of SKYJACKER upper control arms, and they look spectacular like all of SKYJACKER's other products. Expect these to be available in a couple of different anodized colors, cost around $1,500, but we don't know the actual features or pricing yet because it's not available on their website and they haven't made any announcements. And lastly, the folks over at RPG are offering a set for about $100 cheaper than everyone else. For $1,400, you can actually choose from blue, black, gold, or orange, or custom colors if you want a special order, and it features their 1-inch high-angle uniball. RPG is also the only brand we've seen offering machine billet aluminum tie rods. Their sets are available in all the same colors for around $500. Moving to the rear of the vehicle, this car also features upper and lower rear control arms. Sometimes people are going to call these trailing arms. I'm going to use them interchangeably throughout the course of this video. Now this is important to correct for lift heights because as you lift the vehicle, that axle can move forward in the wheel well and not be lined up properly. So you want to adjust it. You also want to make sure that it's strong because if you bang it on anything in the trail and it is fairly exposed, you don't want those things breaking. First up, we're going to feature products again from Evo Manufacturing because we think this is probably one of the best values for the performance you're going to get and the quality you're going to get. Now these are upper and lower rear control arms. A lot of other brands are only offering lower control arms. Evo wants you to do upper and lower. This is going to give you the strength and all the adjustments you need to get it exactly right. Now these are made out of 2-inch quarter wall DOM steel, extremely strong, and they feature on-vehicle full adjustability. Instead of a fixed length, you can actually tune and adjust the length of these rods using their very unique pinch style clamp. Now this eliminates the jam nut, and jam nuts, while they work, they can come loose. They've been using these pinch style in racing for a long time. Evo's trickling them down here to a consumer product just for you guys. Now they also feature these ductile spherical Johnny joints on each end. I don't know exactly what these are, but they are apparently badass, strong, and very, very low maintenance. And this whole setup is going to set you back under $1,000 for the full upper and lower setup. Next up is going to be a billet machined offering from Baja Kits. Now these are full in-house CNC billet machine aluminum. They have a bash plate that can be replaced. These things are gorgeous and strong. They are fixed length, and these are going to set you back around $1,750. RPG Off-Road also coming to the table with their CNC machined aluminum upper and lower rear control arms. These things are fixed length, but they are badass. Available in their anodized orange, gold, blue, black, or you can get them in custom colors if you like. They're gonna set you back around $1,500 for the lower, $100 extra for a bash shield, and $1,100 for the upper. And they feature FK spherical bearings on both ends, so they're definitely strong and maintenance-free. Camberg coming to the table with two options for your lower rear control arm, starting with their tubular control arm made out of 4130 chromoly steel. It's gonna set you back only $700, and it's got 1-inch FK uniballs on each end. They are also offering for $1695 their full CNC machined billet 6061 aluminum, and that comes with a bash shield at that price point, and they're anodized gray. Last up on our list of hard parts in the suspension department is going to be the track bar, sometimes also called a panhard bar. These are just going to make sure that the rear axle stays tracking clean and you're not drifting all over the lane when you're driving on the highway. The first offering is going to be the Yeti XD from Steer Smarts. This is only going to set you back around $260, and this is a very simple on-vehicle adjustable track bar. 4 Wheel Parts Factory has also introduced their track bar, on-vehicle adjustable, very, very strong, priced at $399. With that suspension installed and probably some bigger wheels and tires, your Bronco is going to be riding high and ready for the trail. Now you're probably going to need help getting in and out, or you might need protection for the body, so you're going to want to look at side steps or rock sliders. So head on over and check out that video here where we break down all the step and slider options for your Bronco. If you have questions or you want to buy the products we've talked about in this video, hit us up at Motoroso.com, hit us on live chat, or call us toll free at 833-668-6767. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow along with our build. Thanks for watching.